So how do we deal with this superego? Do we have to get rid of it, or what do we do?
First of all, we need to become aware of the phenomenon that takes place. We need to understand that this is the toxic superego, and this is not our inner voice. This is not the voice of our conscience. It wants to put us down. It wants to humiliate us, make us feel small, in order actually to protect. It pretends to protect the vulnerable part in us, the inner child. So first of all, we need to become aware that this is what is taking place, and that we are giving all our power, all our essences, or our qualities to this toxic superego. And we bring it in and we establish it to play the adult in those moments within us. Because in fact, what is happening in those moments, we regress. We regress to a little vulnerable child. So we need to see that. And we need to say, in a way, thank you to the superego, because in that moment, by understanding that it is there and not taking its beatings and its humiliation, we understand that we have just regressed. We understand that we are regressed in this moment. And we need to stay and find our adult play part, because the regressed child, as a child alone at home, needs an adult to feel trust again and safe. Our regressed child needs to feel an adult, and that's what the superego pretends to be, a real adult, but it is not a real adult. So we need to realize that we gave up post, so to say, and we need to come back to our adult part, and we need to learn to embrace our child self that is vulnerable and feels unsafe, unprotected. We need to turn to the superego and say thanks, not for the beatings, but for the fact that it appeared. It shows that we regressed, and we need to come back to presence. And eventually we need to realize what the superego is. It pretends that it's protecting the child in us we have regressed into, but in fact the superego is nothing else but a freaked out child from our parents. Because when our parents were freaked out, when we were children, they were also regressed children, and they didn't know how to do it, so they appeared to have power and to be authoritarian or absolute or putting us down. And this was due to the fact that they were not anymore real adults, they had also lost it. So they were children, regressed as well, pretending to be the adult. So our toxic superego now, which is the internalized toxic voices of our parents, is nothing else but the regressed child of our parent pretending to be an adult. So in that moment we need to learn to embrace our regressed part, our regressed child, and also, not only that, we need to learn also to embrace our toxic superego, which is the regressed part of our parents. We need to be a sweet parent to that part, something to the relation we have when our parents get old and a little bit regressed like a child, like a baby, and we are caring and loving to them. That's how we need to be also with the toxic superego, in fact. We need to be twice adult, twice present. Also for our regressed part, our regressed child, but also for the regressed part in our parents that we have internalized that pretends to be the adult. Nothing less than that. So the call is to become a real adult, to be the central self, where the appearance of the toxic superego calls us, in fact, back into presence, calls us to realize that we have lost our presence in that moment, and the toxic superego is coming to the rescue of the small child in us, the regressed part, but in fact, it's nothing else but another regressed part of our parents this time. So it calls us back into presence. Oh, I just lost my adult part. Let me come back. Where am I? Here I am. In that sense, we can come back to our essence, to the real adult. Because this is the part, eventually, that can take care of our vulnerable child within us.
Concretely, how do you get back to the adult when you are caught up in this process? One, you say that you have to disidentify with it, like to recognize the superego as such, and that it's also a regressed part, that's a regressed part of your parents basically. But what do you do to get back to your inner adult, to your adult part?
First of all, recognizing that you have regressed creates already a distance from identifying with the regressed part in you. So already that's a step to get to the adult. And you say basically no to the superego. That means by saying no to the superego, you don't give it any more power. Because as long as you don't say no, you don't resist, and you receive the attack and you make yourself smaller, you give it your power. So when you say no to it, you protect, you defend against it, against the beating, against the humiliation, and the small making, already you're taking back your power. So that helps you as a step in the process to keep the adult place in you.
And so you say no against the role it plays, but you say yes to the regressed part of it, you embrace it.
You embrace it not as the master in the house,
Exactly.
but as a regressed child of your parents.
Mm.